We are here at Black Hat 2019. This is day 2 of our interview series. Super excited about all the fun and interesting people we get to chat with, including Andrew Homer. He's the VP of Marketing and Business Development at Morphisec. Welcome, Andrew.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to have you here. Now, it's interesting.
It's great to be here.
I feel like a stalker sometimes because we track as many vendors as we can.
Yes, you do.
And I've tracked Morphisec, and we've never actually sat down and done I don't think we've ever done a formal briefing or anything. So I wanted to start and just tell me and our audience, what is Morphisec? What problem do you solve?
Sure. Okay. So we're focused on in-memory runtime prevention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of the solutions that you see walking the floors of Black Hat here focus on detection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the way that we prevent is actually quite simple. We take the memory assets, the most critical assets that you have in your organization, the assets that are being exploited for vulnerabilities, and we randomize them. We randomize them in a very sophisticated way where we change the memory structure so that when the adversary is looking and expecting, that's okay.
Similar to ASLR, but a different approach.
Sort of ASLR on steroids.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because we're doing much more than just moving.
Yep.
You know, we're changing the names, the links,
the
table
see.
structure.
Yep.
And we're doing it, number one, in an unpredictable way, keyless randomization, and we're morphing every single new process that starts.
Hence the name, Morphisec.
Yes.
I got you. Okay.
Morphisec.
That makes sense.
But, you know, the adversary's expecting a static target.
Yep.
Okay, that's the whole premise of moving target defense. Okay, they're studying the memory assets. They're expecting what to find. And what we do is we set a trap, a decoy. Every new process that we morph, we leave behind a static stub, okay, of the original memory structure that provides a trap. And so
does their code still execute?
It executes, okay, but it can't do anything. It's trapped. And the execution provides the forensics, the very deep detail around the origin of the attack, how it got in, you know, all the way to whether it tried to use a weaponized macro utilizing PowerShell, for example.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing that you can allow it to execute, but almost in like a little sandbox inside of memory. That's no small feat. You must have patents on that, right?
Yeah, we have about 8.
Okay, I was going to say that's pretty unique.
We have about 8. So we do it in user mode, you know, non-disruptive to the user, completely invisible to the user, to the system, to the CPO, to the memory, but
a
lot of special
really
sauce behind the scenes.
I mean, if you're changing the names and just moving stuff around, it's not going to impact performance. You're just changing where stuff is, not how it executes, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And when we do morph, we step aside. So by default, we're not taking up any resources on the endpoint. And so we do that across servers, PCs, laptops, cloud workloads, VDI environments, virtual applications, which is important because it's so lightweight. It's only a 2 megabyte agent taking up no memory. So we provide a very wide swath that we call our unified prevention platform.
I really like this for 2 reasons. One is we see a lot of these Windows exploits. I think they're harder and harder to construct a working exploit. Randomization and morphing aside, it's really hard. Like I've seen some of the smartest people I know like really struggle with like, I don't know if we're going to be able to test for this vulnerability or create a reliable exploit just because Microsoft has made it harder.
Sure.
Just in the stock Windows environment, they've made it harder, right? And then, you know, the second thing is as an attacker, if it's executing, I'm like, oh, cool. Like I'm good. Success, right? Like move on to the next target.
Right.
It's sleeping there. I'm good. I may not realize that I was unsuccessful until like way later in the game.
That's correct.
Right? And
That's
so now I'm not trying anything new and other ways to get on the system because I think I'm already in.
Right.
So for those 2 reasons, I think that's a brilliant approach.
Yeah, and it's an economics game too, right? You know, the attacker is trying to get at the endpoint, right? That's where the crown jewels are and how you can move laterally within the organization. And we frustrate them, right? Every single new process is morphed. They try again, trapped, morphed. And we see it persist. You know, the interesting thing is if you look at vulnerabilities, right? Just take, you know, something like Adobe Flash 4878, right? It was in the wild for 3-4 months. No one knew about it. Okay, and if you were a good doobie, you would have, the patch came out, you would have patched the systems, and you would have gone through this whole cycle. But during that entire time, you're exposed. And so in our approach, we don't need any prior knowledge of the vulnerability.
Right.
The fact that it's trying to execute itself within, you know, the false memory, okay, is by default deterministically malicious.
Right. Right.
So it's also, we sell it as a virtual patch. Okay. Things like certainly on Windows 7, there's a lot of Windows. About a third of the install base out there is still Windows 7.
Yeah. How far back in Windows do you go? Windows 7, or do you go XP or
XP as well?
Really?
Yes,
Interesting.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So, you know,
that's a really. I'm not sure today, but at least briefings I was doing a year or two ago with enterprises, they were still like, we got Windows XP, we can't get rid of it, and I'm sure it's still obviously it persists today as well.
Yeah.
And they'd always come to me like, what do I do? And so few vendors had any support for, they may say, well, it'll run, but we don't really support it, kind of thing.
Right.
But you're saying it's fully.
Yeah. So, if you think of even what Microsoft's doing, well, end of year, you have end of life, right?
Right.
And that's a big problem, particularly for organizations that just don't have the operational ability to transition over to Windows 10 for a variety of reasons.
Huge.
Perfect example.
I've got actually a story. My wife was in labor, and she's like, "Oh, look, it's the baby's heartbeat." And I look up at the screen. I'm like, "Is that Windows 95?"
It probably was.
She's like, "Seriously?" I'm like, "Now I have to tweet that." She's like, "Seriously?"
Yes.
And she's like, "No tweeting." And I'm like, we're kind of trending on Twitter. It was actually one of my most retweeted and viewed and liked tweets of all time. We actually did shows on healthcare security because of the explosion of that one tweet, which comes down to the problem you're solving, which is it's really hard for organizations to get off some of these legacy operating systems, especially in healthcare.
Yeah, they're tied to very expensive multi-million-dollar pieces of equipment, right? And that's the fundamental reason oftentimes. And so by providing this virtual patch, by knowing that the customer is able to, prevent the attack pre-execution without any prior knowledge, it becomes a risk and compliance compensation control. Right. And then we give them the peace of mind that leveraging, migrating over Windows 10, we're now integrated with Defender AV.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a nice symbiotic relationship. So we give them a roadmap all the way up through, Microsoft ATP and our integration there.
Now, I have to ask Andrew, because I'm sure customers and prospects ask you this question all the time. Are there legitimate applications that might have trouble or crash because of the way you're manipulating memory?
No, that's the most popular question that we get. When you talk about, hey, we morph memory and we scramble it, it sounds scary.
Yeah.
It sounds scary. So, all of our customers go through a proof of concept. It's pretty simple. And what they find is, no impact to the environment. And from a conflict standpoint, I mean, we're on just about every system with every type of application software that you can possibly
you've deployed
manage.
enough now to
Yes. And, and it's out of the box. We have a default protection plan, but customers can kind of tweak that to some of their legacy application, customized applications in their protector plan.
Yeah, I've seen older apps do really weird things. Yeah.
So unlike say endpoint detection response, which we don't do, there's not this long tuning period. We're deploying 10,000 endpoints a day, and they're up and running. And so, because it's not carrying a heavy signature database, it's not doing the detection and a heuristic analysis.
So tell me about the Windows 10 integrations. You just formalized a partnership with Microsoft.
Right.
So are there extra protections in Windows 10 that you're taking advantage of to do this protection?
Yeah, it's a really important part of our business right now, and it's taken off. Customers, as they're migrating over to Windows 10, are finding that there are inherent strong security features that are embedded in the operating system. Defender AV is a dang good antivirus product. Okay, and the time is right for them to say, hey, look, I can adopt this. It's already embedded in the operating system. I don't need another agent. Why am I paying for this other legacy AV thing?
Right.
Is usually the question that we get. And they're deploying Morphisec on the unknown, for the unknown attacks, the zero-day attacks, the sophisticated in-memory attacks. But you still need antivirus, okay? So what we've done is we've integrated with Defender AV, okay? We're populating the Defender AV alerts into Morphisec's Unified Security Center together with our unknown alerts, so they have one single pane of glass. One of the gaps that Windows Defender AV has today is that it does not provide visibility management capabilities. Okay.
Oh, so
that's what we're stepping up. We stepped up to that challenge.
I got you. So your dashboard will take in the data from Windows Defender, and I got you.
Correct. And the reason that we're successful in swapping out legacy AV is that customers are saying, all right, I'm paying for this budget. Okay, I can better use this budget protecting against the zero unknown attacks. and then leverage good Defender AV, and Morphisec ties the two together by providing end-to-end visibility across known and unknown alerts.
And I love solutions that are like,
easy.
Yeah, like I can save money in my budget because I don't need this other product, and I can be more efficient operationally.
Correct.
Because I'm not responding to as many of alerts because you're just protecting it before it gets there, or protecting it. So
you got it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love when you can do the math like that and go, wait, we save money and time. Yeah, that's like a no-brainer, right?
That's certainly about it. And I think the Defender AV as a antivirus tool, it has really stepped up. I mean, they've put a lot of really good innovation in that to the point where it's the timing's right, particularly with the transition over to Windows 10 for us to take advantage of that and help customers ultimately be more secure, no change to budget. Okay, and have it be operationally simple.
That's awesome. Yeah. If folks want a trial or a demo, like how does that work? Can I get a free trial, or do I have to get a demo? Or
you can. So for customers that want to check out our products, okay, we're happy to run a demo for you. There's some learning in terms of how it works, some education to how it works, right? Because oftentimes customers think that we are an antivirus or a detection tool.
Sure.
Oftentimes when customers are installing us for the first time, they're just trying to figure out, hey, does it conflict with anything? And it's so lightweight, doesn't consume memory or CPU, and it doesn't, crash their other drivers and other applications. So, we always have a try and buy, with customers.
But I have to register, right? So there's no free trial.
You do.
It's okay. I mean,
and here's the thing that's different than, say, like, trialing a CrowdStrike or a Cylance is, you'll install us and it will be silent because we're only protecting that for the unknowns. The 0 days they're bypassing antivirus. Okay, and so it may sit there for a couple days, but when it does light up, that's when they pay attention to it and they're like, "Whoa, what just got through?" Right? And then our forensic analysts look at that, and oftentimes it is a very sophisticated, evasive piece of malware or a 0 day. So
I think we get too much data from our security tools, and
Definitely.
It's refreshing to say, like, we only alert when there really, truly is a problem, right? Because I think we have this notion that we need to collect everything and sort through it, right? Yeah, it's like next to now today, forget it's impossible.
I mean, visibility is super important in an organization. I mean, you want to be able to trace it back to the root. I think the issue is that we're reactive, everything that goes bump in the night. What was that? What was that?
Yeah.
And, the fact that folks can't keep up with it. A lot of these alerts are just dropping on the floor because, detection is really the only thing the market has been told, the only thing customers have been told. I think we're bringing back, certainly it's our belief and our growth has shown this, the most innovation in prevention in the last 10 to 15 years. And so we're sort of bringing back prevention, right? Pendulum has swung so far over to detection that folks are just fatigued with the complexity.
Well, sounds awesome. So if folks want to go get it, morphisec.com.
Morphisec.com. Come visit us out.
Great. Yes, Thank you so much, Andrew.
Awesome, Paul. Appreciate it.